At 4 a.m. on May 11, 2012, a fire broke out at 18 Victory Road in Derby. Within minutes, the blaze escalated into a roaring inferno, with temperatures in the upstairs bedrooms exceeding 500 degrees Celsius. Woken by the alarms and the heat, neighbors rushed into the street. They jumped fences and tried to force their way through the front door and the conservatory to rescue the 6 children sleeping on the second floor. But the blinding smoke and intense heat physically pushed them back. 5 of the children, Jade, John, Jack, Jesse, and Jayden, perished at the scene from severe smoke inhalation. Their 13-year-old half-brother, Duwayne, died in the hospital 2 days later. While neighbors risked their lives to breach the walls of the house, the children's parents, Mick and Mairead Philpott, remained outside. Witnesses noticed the couple standing in the garden, staring at the blaze without crying or screaming for their kids. While neighbors collapsed from exhaustion and smoke, Mick and Mairead stood quietly, an observation that would anchor the initial police investigation. Mick Philpott was already a notorious public figure. Fathering 17 children with multiple women, he had courted media attention for years and was dubbed Britain's biggest scrounger for collecting tens of thousands of pounds annually in government benefits. His domestic life was unconventional. Mick lived in a cramped council house with his wife, Mairead, and his mistress, Lisa, who had initially moved in when she was just 16 years old. After years in the household, Lisa finally left 3 months before the fire. She took her 5 children with her, triggering a bitter and contentious custody dispute. Because a family court hearing was scheduled for the very morning of the blaze, police initially questioned Lisa. They quickly cleared her of any involvement, as she had a rock-solid alibi for the time the fire started. Mick had lost control over his mistress and her children. Along with them, he had lost the government benefits attached to their care, providing a clear motive for the events that followed. 5 days after the fire, Mick and Mairead organized a press conference to face the national media. Mick's performance was erratic. He dabbed at his eyes to wipe away imaginary tears, yet his face remained dry. He failed to mention a single child by name, and off-camera, inappropriately flirted with a female police liaison officer. This public display prompted investigators to dig into Mick's background. They found a man far more dangerous than his reality TV persona suggested. In 1978, Mick had brutally attacked an ex-girlfriend, Kim Hill. When she tried to end their relationship, he broke into her home and stabbed her 27 times. Mick's history revealed a pattern of extreme narcissistic control. If he felt a woman or a child was slipping from his grasp, his instinct was to destroy them. Now highly suspicious, detectives relocated Mick and Mairead to a hotel and planted covert recording devices in their room and police transport vehicles. The wiretaps captured damning whispers. Mick was recorded asking his wife if she was sticking with the story, and admitted, "It's my fault we lost our children." Forensic analysts examined the clothing the couple wore on the night of the fire. They discovered trace amounts of petrol on Mick, Mairead, and a family friend named Paul Mosley. The chemical signature of that petrol perfectly matched the accelerant investigators found poured through the home's front letterbox. Intercepted confessions and chemical evidence on their clothes shifted the narrative. The police were no longer comforting a grieving family. They were interrogating 3 suspects in a coordinated arson investigation. As detectives pieced together the timeline, they concluded that Mick designed the fire to be a staged rescue. Mick's plan was built on a series of calculated risks. He and Mosley would set a small fire at the front door, allowing Mick to charge in and heroically rescue the sleeping children. This would frame his ex-mistress, Lisa, for the arson, helping him win his custody battle and demand a larger council house. But the plan contained a fatal oversight. Mick had recently coated the interior wooden stairs with yacht varnish, a highly flammable substance meant only for boat exteriors. When the petrol ignited, the varnish acted as a wick. The flames raced up the staircase in seconds, creating a wall of heat so intense that Mick could not enter the house. The children were trapped on the second floor. Driven by greed, Mick engineered a manipulative stunt. His lack of foresight turned a selfish scheme into an unintended mass casualty event. Because investigators determined the trio never intended to kill the children, the murder charges against Mick, Mairead, and Mosley were downgraded to manslaughter. All The judge condemned Mick as a disturbingly dangerous man and handed him a life sentence with a minimum of 15 years to serve. In the immediate aftermath, the house at 18 Victory Road was demolished. A social housing block now stands on the site, removing the physical footprint of the tragedy from the neighborhood. Jade, John, Jack, Jesse, Jayden, and Duwayne were killed by a father who viewed his own children as props for his ego and pawns for his profit.